any of that, but maybe a
I'm
couple
in
swear
class, I
words because
remember.
you're designed to do. You're designed to express yourself. You're frustrated, express it. You're happy, express it. You're excited, express it. Inherently hurtful, all right,
Alright.
to other human beings or to other
You
communities.
don't have to, like,
All right,
because you're appearing
but it's
offline.
10 sentences expressing yourself about
You
literally
is.
anything.
Your name not
Just
up here.
follow those simple rules, and everything
That's
is
confusing as fuck.
wonderful.
Or do you have the invite off?
Now, let's see. That's your first assignment. I'm actually going to talk to you about this one down here because it needs a little more detail. This video will do a wonderful job of detailing what you got to do. It's explaining romanticism. And
I know you haven't invited me
the
yet.
importance about romanticism is that it's an idea that was born.
Oh,
Maybe it was born
bet.
250 years ago or however long it was, 1750, so it's plus, right? 250 plus. But the ideas are still with us. They're still in our music. They're still in our movies. They're still in our media. They're everywhere. They're in comics. They're absolutely everywhere. They're in buildings and art. This type of the romanticist message is something extremely important to people in life. That's why we teach it. If I don't think something's important, I'm not going to waste my time making lessons for it. But I think romanticism is extremely important because its effects on our lives every single day. And if you wonder what those effects are, watch the video and follow through the image. So once you've watched this video, it's going to explain some details of romanticism, how it came about, and why it started to exist. And really, it started to exist because modernization was occurring. Industrialization, buildings, factories, manufacturing companies, all this stuff was coming into play in this time. And some people didn't like that. Some people wanted to be like, listen, all these ugly factories polluting the skies, towns were starting to turn into cities, which means there was more dirt, more crime, all of this other stuff that was occurring. I know London had a bunch of horses, which means it had a bunch of horse crap, literally all over the city with disease and rats, because it went from a smaller town-like city into a mega city, right, that London is today. But obviously it doesn't have bird or horse crap all over the place because there's not hundreds of carriages moving up and down. Okay, but people hated that change, and romanticism was kind of born out of that. But it's much more complicated than that. I'm just giving you a brief rundown before you watch the video. All right. There are 2 assignments you have to do. This one is super brief. You just have to list 3 major moments from the Romantic period. There's like 10 in here. You just need 3. Next up, you want to go through here and look at this image. And this is just something I'm going to walk you through. You don't actually have to do an assignment here, but this is your assignment right down here. Okay, so what are we doing? Few characteristics of romanticism. Humanity and individualism. It's all about going back to that idea of like a childlike view of the world. Innocent, beautiful, natural. Okay, that's romanticism. It's about expressing intense emotion, intense love, intense fear, intense anger, intense happiness. Valuing nature above science. All right, just like with the City of London, it's all about nature being much more significant and meaningful than science. Science is seen as cold, nature is seen as warm and beautiful and inviting. Great emphasis on expression through poetry. Poetry was probably the most dominant form of romanticism at the time, but it still is, because romanticism is in songs. If you listen to anybody, you listen to heavy metal, you listen to pop, you listen to R&B, whatever, there's romanticism all over your music. Okay, so poetry is just kind of evolved into songs, which makes it still the most dominant format. All right, it was always interested in the good old days and simpler times. Okay, that's kind of the running theme here. And spirituality. The video mentions that romanticists were not religious. That's not exactly correct. There were several of major romanticists who were agnostic or atheist, but there were several who were also religious, whether it be Catholic or whatever it is. Catholic was pretty dominant. Okay, And then you just want to look at this image, but this image here is a perfect
I can't play ranked.
intense emotion. You have despair, you have hopelessness, you have
Do what? Alright. Where the fuck my vape at, bro?
representative of like hope, and obviously the dark clouds.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing more often, but I can't find my vape right now and it's pissing me off.
Guys were stranded or whatever for about 13 days, and they had to
Oh,
feed each other.
what do you mean? Bro, shut up.
So there's a lot going on. Okay? But this is
We got what?
something we broke down in class to kind of explain, like, these are the romantic elements we see here. Now, your job, alright? Your job is to find it in the job.
Should I get a face cam?
3 features that express romanticism. And you do have to explain them. You don't need paragraphs of explanation. But you do need a few sentences of, like, hey, this represents this aspect of romanticism. Remember, you have a list of characteristics right here. So if you go down the checklist, say, oh, I see these emphasis.
My name is Rafe.
Alright, this is an emphasis on humanity. It shows this way that is humanity is not all good,
Enough
it's not all
flirting.
bad.
Save it for when we win.
Showing that there's cannibalism, legal death,
Oh no.
right? There's people hanging on to their friends who may have died, right? Maybe coma, maybe just exhausted.
Alright, I do.
But at the same time, some people aren't doing it. Some people are much more vicious. So it's a very good representation of humanity. Only, I mean, that's
We don't talk. Moving up. Alright, bet. So that's where I usually land. I usually land center.
late. Tonight it is due tomorrow.
Let's find something
Still
good.
have class tomorrow. We'll still have stuff to work on tomorrow. But this one, just because my
Huh?
person gets a little longer, I said, I might as well just make it for everybody.
It's because I'm streaming. Hold up, I'm in my